Amidst chaos, there is always opportunity. A lesson on staying aware and being in position. This is such a powerful topic of discussion, and of course we're going to try to make this one very brief. But the first time that you've probably heard of this statement, if you're a follower of Game of Thrones, then you probably heard Littlefinger refer to chaos as a ladder. And he was so very right in this. But this is actually, if you're a student of history, one of the oldest lessons that have been taught. If you go back to the likes of a Napoleon Bonaparte, or if you're familiar with his story, then you know that he came from humble beginnings, and the societal structure was not set up for him to take the crown or to achieve any type of nobility or any of the exploits that he actually accomplished. However, he knew that it needed to be some type of societal upheaval. It needed to be basically a free-for-all. He needed something chaotic to go on or to transpire that would be able to disrupt the ordinary way of thinking so that he could come in with the answers. And of course, in his particular case, this happened to be the French Revolution. And in the midst of this, the people were just growing tired of the ways of the parliament and things that were going on at that time. And so and again, I'm summarizing his story very briefly, but once he came into power, he played it step by step, with each position, he flourished in it, all the while keeping in the back of his mind what his goals were, what he wanted to accomplish. And each time, each position, each ranking, each time it went up, he had a different plan. He knew what was going on, and he stayed aware, he stayed alert, and he kept himself in position. I can recall he ended up going down to Egypt, and when he was down there, even though the exploits, it turned out to be a failure, but while he was there, the propaganda back home was that, he's down there doing great things. And so upon coming back, he's able to rise up again, and he's also, in the midst of the chaos, he actually had answers for the people. And so this is one thing that he was excellent at. He was excellent at listening and knowing what was going on. He was able to broker deals, with the church, the Catholic Church at that time. He was able to make it to where, to satisfy the citizenship to where each man was able to vote, regardless of his ranking in the caste system at that time. And so he was able to go on and do a number of wonderful things. And if you aren't familiar with Napoleon, definitely I would go and do some research on that, because there's so much to be gleaned from history. Now, moving forward to another primary example that may not be as popular, but Adolf Hitler. This is a young man who, coming up, he wanted to be an artist. However, his father denied him of that, but he still was a prolific writer, prolific with propaganda and understanding the minds and the thinking of the people, so to speak. Now, if you're familiar with Germany after World War I, they were the losers of this war, and they were tasked with having to pay back all of the reparations to different states. And so inflation is at an all-time high. The people are doing terrible at this time, and they're seeking for some answers, like your life savings could probably only afford you one loaf of bread, at this particular time. So the people were in need of answers. And here we go, Hitler again being in position and staying aware, because upon coming in, initially, what came to be known as the Nazi Party was, I believe, the working German party. So it was a very humble party, and he came in just as, on the political board, so to speak. However, he was a very prolific writer, so he ended up having to do a bid in jail around this time, and it was at this point where he actually wrote a novel that basically summarized his ideas and basically promoted to the German people, that they had greatness in them, that despite everything that you have been taught to believe, despite poverty, despite being stricken, so to speak, with this the after effects of the First World War, you still have value. You are still of importance. And it wasn't long before this novel began to get out, and the people of Germany actually embraced these particular ideas. He also pinpointed to in what his mind was the cause of this, and it just so happened in his particular belief system that it was the Jewish people that led to their downfall. And so not only did he establish an enemy, someone that they could war against, but he also instilled value into the people. And it wasn't long before he rose to power. And in each position, much like Napoleon, he was aware. He knew exactly what he was doing as far as with this plan, and he was able to execute that. Now, I come here to tell you on today that, of course, these are two great world leaders, despite however you want to place them in, whether that you feel their ideologies were right or wrong. That's neither here nor there. I come to look at the accomplishments of the men. And I come here to tell you on today that these men did nothing, although they did great in their accomplishments. You have that same greatness in you. It's all a matter of being in position, staying aware, and being able to utilize this game. And always know that in the midst of chaos, that there's always going to be opportunity. Now, let me say this a different way. Also in the midst of chaos, with this opportunity being available, it is up to you to extinguish fires immediately, so to speak. Justin, what are you saying? As far as in your household, let me make it a little bit more relatable to you. Oftentimes, the moment that your woman confides in another man or lets them know that there is turmoil going on in the household, this is the beginning of the end. Much like any great organization, any great duo, any great union, the second, typically, that it gets out to the public that there's chaos going on, that there's inner beefing going on, whether this is on a basketball team, a football team, whatever may have you, as soon as this gets out, that typically leads to the downfall. There's typically going to be some changes being made. Typically, a dynasty is going to fold if they were en route to win 2 to 3 championships. If these fires aren't extinguished, which is typically the coach's job or someone who has a knack for leadership, to put these particular fires out. If you're unable to do that, then it's only so long before this gives way to another dynasty or gives way to someone else to actually come in and take your position or take your place, so to speak. Going back to the relationship that you may have inside of your household, it is so very imperative to stay locked in with your woman at all times, to have those lines or those doors of communication open, because what's going to transpire is, as long as it stays between you two, no matter what's going on, whether there's internal beefing going on, or where, whatever may have you, as long as this remains in-house, you always have the ability to rebound. You always have the ability to bounce back, to be able to put this fire out and to actually make this union stronger. Because always, again, in the midst of chaos, there's an ability for it to go either way. So this is an opportunity for you to either strengthen this union or for it to crumble and allow another man to come in and have this woman, or another young lady to come in and have this man that was meant for you. And so oftentimes I see this so very much. I'm reminded of Othello, when the two gentlemen had that were basically hating on Othello. I forget their name. It's been a while since I've actually read read that particular poem. Well, I believe it's a poem, or we'll call it a short story, or even watch the film adaptation of it. The first one I preferred with Lawrence Fishburne. How he did a great job in that particular film. But basically, Othello was from Africa, and so, but he was a general in this particular army, and so they already disliked him because he was a black man, and and that was held in high esteem, and had a high amount of prestige about himself. So they constantly hated on him, and they even went as far as to his woman, I believe her name was Bethesda. She they hated this union with a passion. They initially came in and tried to tell her father that Othello had used some type of witchcraft in order to swear, and that they were going to secretly run off and get married. However, when she came in, she said that, obviously this wasn't the case. It didn't stop there. And so two men came in, one hated Othello because of his rank, and he had passed him up on a position that he felt entitled to. And the other man just simply wanted his woman and, hated him in this particular regard. And so they went on to sow seeds of doubt in Othello's mind, and him being weak-minded, he ends up, and I don't want to spoil it for you, but I'll go ahead and spoiler alert. He ends up killing her. He's drove into such rage that he ends up killing his woman, and he ends up killing himself also, being tricked out of position, so to speak. In the midst of all of this chaos, it made room for these other gentlemen to come in, and the one particular gentleman, he actually ends up getting the position that he desired. And so I come here to tell you on today that if there's chaos around you, I could go on and on. If you're in a community or a neighborhood where there's chaos that's all about you, all around you, don't let this sway you, because one thing about it, it's extremely hard to stay focused when there's a lot going on around you. But if you have this ability to tap in and actually get into your quiet place and able to analyze and see what's going on, and you're able to formulate a plan, and then you're able to go as far as to implement that plan, you're going to be a very dangerous young man. You're going to be a very dangerous brother, a cold brother, so to speak, And, it's my belief that you would use this power for good. But you do have ones out there who are knowledgeable of these ways and these tactics that I'm speaking on, and they tend to use it for evil. They want to use it to, to snipe you for your woman. They want to cause chaos and turmoil in your home. You have women who want to come in. They might see you engaged or, getting married, and they just want to come in and, defile your relationship and this, that, and the third. But, in the midst of this chaos, please understand that it's up to you to do your due diligence, to do inventory, to either act as a watchman and to be able to put these fires out in the midst of this chaos. Because one thing about the scriptures, the Lord is not the author of confusion. So, he likes order, structure, things to this effect. And this is typically how you're able to offset that. However, if you are in a position to where you're looking to or you're aspiring to gain something, if you're aspiring to reach a different level, whether that be on a job, whether that be in an organization, this, that, and the third, whatever the case may be aware of the chaos. It typically starts at the top. Be aware when you see beefing going on, when you see backbiting going on, when you see gossiping or things to this effect. Be aware of this and instantly begin to put your plan in motion, and I can almost guarantee you that you're going to have the desires of your heart. And so, definitely, I just wanted to come by here and drop that message off on today, whatever side of the fence that you might be on. But definitely jump in the comment section. Again, hit that like button, subscribe, tell me what you think, give me your thoughts on this. And, until next time, be blessed.